So just one more step in plaster. You know, because they piled up giant chunks down here and chunks on the floor, I've been going around with a putty knife and I've been scraping away, and now my wife's going back behind me with the shop vac, and we gotta clean that up. I figure might as well do it now before we you know, put the baseboards on, but also because some of these globs were so big that they'd interfere with putting down the hardwood, so get them done now. It's one more step. The plaster is like never ending, fixing it. So here's the transition between the living room and the bathroom. And I don't like the look of the aluminum moldings, thresholds, so I decided to make my own. This bathroom floor I kept a little bit lower because there's going to be a door covering it, so I wasn't as concerned. So I didn't bother putting down the second layer of Dietrich here. But what I did do was I made my own threshold. So this is a piece of the hardwood, and if you can see that, it's now tapered. So here on the tongue side, it's fat, and then it tapers down lower. The way that I accomplished that was essentially taking a small strip of scrap lumber. So this is just a little narrow strip here. And what I did was I used some painter's tape and I taped it on the finished side right there. And then I ran it through my planer. And I made several passes, taking off a little bit at a time, so that this side over here on the tongue stayed the same thickness, but this side became thinner. So now what will happen is I can put this in, and it'll be just like that. I'll have a small caulking line right there, and the next board can come butt up to it, and these two edges are flush, and now these two edges are flush. So it's just a very slight taper down. I don't know if anybody else does it that way. I mean, obviously you can get the aluminum thresholds, you can buy a little T-molding that spans between the two, but my problem with all those was that there's always this bump that comes up. And that, for whatever reason, that just seems a little odd to me to have that bump. So I did this, and now this side's flush and this side's flush. Over there on the other threshold, I bothered making the tile higher, but this side I didn't bother. So this, of course, was a less time involved, and I don't think anybody's going to trip on the height difference here because it's at a doorway. So because everybody has to open a door in or out, they'll recognize that there's going to be a height difference intuitively. Whereas over here on this side, going from the foyer area into the living room area, there's no doorway, it's a wide open space. So they might not recognize that there'd be normally a height difference.